Merry belated Christmas, everyone. This is my week 4 update for the Harry Potter Readathon and the 12 Reads of Christmas. The reason this update is going up so late is not because I was busy, but because the fact that our internet got shut off at home, so we're trying to find another internet to get hooked up, and you know how that is during the holidays. It's almost impossible. So I'm not exactly sure when I will be getting internet, so I'm not exactly sure when this video is going up, and I apologize for its lateness. I think the most interesting thing that happened to me all week is the fact that I got my driver's license. A lot of you are probably wondering, why are you just not getting your driver's license? Well, that's because for the past three or 4 years, a lot's happened. Right after school, I started working, and then probably a year after working, and I worked probably 60 to 80 hours a week when I first started. And like right after that, first year, our house burned down. And that was a lot to deal with. Well, after we got inside, not even before we got back in our house, after it was rebuilt, my grandma got sick, and we spent 3 years going in and out of the hospital, and she died a few months ago, right before I started BookTube. So I really haven't had any opportunity at all. I had taken the driver's test before. I had taken it twice. The first time, the driving instructor failed me because I wouldn't run over a dog. No chiss. That is exactly the reason he told me that I failed, is because I would not hit a dog. I was pissed. The second guy, I parallel parked perfectly the first time, but he said I was too close to the curb, and he said he would give me another try, so he made me parallel park 4 times. I was lucky I did it right the first time. Well, moving on to what I've read this last week, and the first thing I read was Gently Caged by Yu Shizaki and illustrated by Kumiko Sasaki. I believe I'm saying those names right. But I thought this was a manga when I first bought it, but it's actually a novel. It has a few pictures in it, but it's basically all words. I read this mainly because my nerves were shot before taking my driver's test, and this was taking my mind off it. It was a very short book. It was only like 200 and some odd pages, and I got through it in a day. It helped curb my nerves a little bit, but my nerves were probably shot for 2 or 3 days after my test. They were so bad. It was a decent book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read, because our internet went out and I was in a very manga reading mood, is I read all 9 volumes of Number 6. Number 6 is actually a very, very good manga. It has a lot of blood and death in it, so it's not for younger readers, but it's a very interesting and unique story, and I just loved reading about it. This book was written by Etsuko Asuno, and the art was by Hinoki Kino. Hopefully I'm saying this right. The next book I read was This Is What Happy Looks Like. And it only took me like 2 days to read this, and it would only took me 1 if I had actually more time to read. But I loved this book. This book was so good. And oof, when I went into this, I really was not expecting much, because it's about a movie star accidentally emailing this plain ordinary girl from across the country one night, and they start up a conversation, and it goes on for months and months until he's filming on location in her hometown, and they finally get to meet. A lot of drama takes place because he gets her mixed up with another girl at first, and she really doesn't want to have anything to do with the limelight, and yeah, and it's hard to tell you about any of it without giving a lot of the good points of the books away. So it's just really a book you're gonna have to pick up and read, and it was worth the read. I mean, it was a very, very fast-paced book, and it didn't feel like I was reading very long. It felt like I was reading like 4 or 5 chapters within a few minutes. I did, however, only give this book a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and that is mainly because of the ending. It was a very unresolved ending in my book because he's having to leave like that next day, and they're not sure if they're ever going to see each other again. They're going to talk on emails, but they don't know if they're going to see each other. And to me, it would probably been better. The story would have been better if they had put an epilogue in there where they met again sometime down the road and they actually, you know, got into a relationship, or if they had a falling out even. I mean, anything would have been better than just leaving us hanging where they did. But I overall loved the book, and I can see myself rereading this book sometime later on. The next book I started reading was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I've got the first 3 chapters read of this book, and I would have read more, but I kind of got distracted by all the stuff we had to do for Christmas, and then the new bookshelves I got, I wanted to get them done. And it's just, and I applied for another job. So this took a back burner to everything else. And that other job I applied for, I should be hearing from them after the holidays, from what one of the workers said. So I'm excited about that. But I do hope to read more next week. I originally set myself to read all the Harry Potter books in the month of December. And I probably could have done this if it hadn't been for me being sick the first 2 weeks of December. I think that I'm mainly just going to try to finish Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire next week, and I'm not going to read the 5th, 6th, and 7th books. I really want to, but I don't foresee myself getting them done in a week, and I want to be started on something new when the Bout of Books Readathon happens next month, which I hope I have internet by then. I'm not going to have a reading update next week, it's just going to be a wrap-up video, but this will probably be the only thing I read next week. I'm not going to rush through it. I mean, as you can tell, I started this yesterday. I've only finished the first 3 chapters. Until next time, guys, bye, and I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas.